Hey everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. We're so happy to have you. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jessica, and we are the Certified Occupational Therapy Assistants at Harkla. And today we are talking all about sensory seekers.
We're going to share what activities you can do to support your sensory seeker.
The first thing you want to do is identify if you have a sensory seeker or not. Now, if you have a sensory seeker, you might already know. But just in case, we are going to give you a couple of signs or symptoms of sensory seekers so you can know if you have one or not.
Keep in mind we do have 8 senses, and you can be a seeker in any of those 8 senses, and you can be an avoider in any of those 8 senses as well. You're not just an all-over seeker or an all-over avoider or craver. You can be mixed, so keep that in mind as well.
So some of the signs of sensory seeking is a child who is always on the go. They might mouth non-edible objects pretty frequently.
They can't seem to get enough input, so they're always craving more input, especially compared to their peers at school.
They might be considered the bad kid at school.
They're fidgeting constantly and they're always moving.
They might have a diagnosis of ADHD or autism.
And maybe they just make noises to make noises.
So if your child has any of those signs or symptoms, they might be a sensory seeker. We do have a really great sensory preference checklist from Sensational Brain. It's free, it's linked in the description, and that can kind of give you an idea of what type of input your child seeks out and if they are a sensory seeker or not.
First, we want to remind you how important it is to meet your sensory seeker's threshold. We do have a separate video, a separate podcast. We will link it in the description as well, so you can get some more information on what it means to meet the threshold of the child. But just a quick breakdown is the child is seeking a certain input for a reason. Their body is craving it. It's not processing and modulating that input, so they need more. So we want to give them that input first.
Now, our 5 favorite activities for sensory seekers. Are you ready?
Yes.
You think they're ready?
Yes.
Okay, number 1 is to use swings. Now, if you don't have a swing at your house, that's totally fine. Go to the playground. Some playgrounds don't have swings anymore though, so find one that does. But swings are a great way to give your sensory seeker some really great vestibular input. You can swing in a lot of different ways, forwards, backwards, sideways, on your stomach. You can spin, just whatever kind of swinging you want.
Yes. Oftentimes, these kiddos are seeking that vestibular input and they want more of it because their body isn't registering that input. So swinging is a great option. The second one is to jump and crash. So whether you have bean bags, you have a crash pad in your house, maybe you have couch cushions that you can take off your couch and put them on the floor, pillows, anything that your child can jump and crash into provides a lot of vestibular input as well as calming proprioceptive input.
Even jumping on a trampoline, whether it's a big trampoline or a mini trampoline in your house or one of the exercise BOSU balls to jump on is great. And then we actually also like to use the Harkla hug to jump and crash onto. It can be kind of a fun way to use that. Number 3 is to use resistive oral motor input. This is great for a sensory seeker who is mouthing non-edible objects throughout the day. Maybe they're chewing on their shirt collar, maybe they're chewing their pencils apart. So giving them some good resistive oral motor input throughout the day can be really, really helpful. We love gum.
I'm always chewing gum.
Always. You can even use different types of food. So like really hard leather, like fruit leather or jerky, any food that is resistive or crunchy or chewy to really give them a lot of heavy work to their jaw.
Chewy teethers are great as well. Vibrating teethers are helpful. We do love the company Arc Therapeutic. We will link that in the description as well. And another favorite activity is what we call Bubble Mountain. And so this is filling up a bowl with some water and some soap and using a straw to blow and create a bubble mountain or a volcano. And it provides a lot of that great oral motor input that sensory seekers crave.
Okay, number 4 is going to be lots of proprioceptive input, which is heavy work and deep pressure.
Weighted blankets, weighted vests, weighted lap pads are all great tools.
We do have several different videos on using our weighted products for ideas on how and when to use them appropriately so they don't get overused, but so that they're actually helpful to your child's sensory system.
Yep. Animal walks are great. So things like bear walks, elephant walks, crab walks are fantastic. Getting your child into different positions, different weight-bearing positions, anytime you're using that resistive input to those big muscles, joints, and tendons, you're offering that proprioceptive input.
One thing we love to do is to complete these proprioceptive heavy work activities after vestibular-based activities. So like Rachel mentioned before, meet your child's sensory threshold with whatever input they're seeking. And then once they're ready, you can complete some calming proprioceptive work to just help them feel more calm afterwards.
We always say, when in doubt, prop it out.
But first, heavy work.
Yep. The last activity we love is using sensory bins. Sensory bins are all the rage right now, which is awesome, but they're actually designed for sensory processing and modulation activities. So you can use wet mediums like shaving cream or water beads, and then you can also use dry mediums like corn or rice or beans.
We love using sensory bins as part of an obstacle course, so incorporating it as one of the steps to an obstacle course, or even just as an activity by itself can be really great. Maybe even try hiding different small items like coins or little small Lego pieces in that sensory bin for your child to find, and maybe do an activity with them once they find them.
Yep. For an added challenge, put a blindfold on them and they have to find these items blindfolded within the sensory bin, and then have them use their feet in the sensory bin as well. Make sure you clean their feet first because, kid feet, yeah, you never know. But have them stick their feet in the sensory bin so that way they can get the input all over their body. And one other thing to keep in mind is that when a child is seeking that tactile input, we want to offer that light touch. So offering like a rice dribbling down their skin that they have to process, or feathers on their skin, because that light touch is a lot of input for them to process. And for a lot of kids, it's a noxious stimuli. So offering that light touch, not necessarily the deep touch or that deep input, like we do with like the deep pressure brushing protocol, but that light touch can be really helpful as well.
So those are our 5 favorite activities for sensory seekers. First, identify your child's sensory seeking preferences. What are they seeking out? And then go ahead and give it to them.
Give these activities a try. Let us know how they go. If you try them out, send us a picture on Instagram. That's where we're hanging out. You can find us at All Things Sensory Podcast, as well as at Harkla_family.
Now, a quick reminder that if your child is really, really struggling with sensory processing and it is impacting their ability to get through their day, make sure you talk to your pediatrician and ask for an occupational therapy evaluation to look and see if maybe they qualify for occupational therapy services. That in-person therapy is 100% hands down the best way to go. All of our resources are a great place to start, but nothing beats that in-person therapy to help your child.
Absolutely. Make sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. A new video drops every Tuesday, so don't miss out there, as well as our podcast. We launch a new episode every Wednesday. So if you need more resources, we have almost 200 podcast episodes. So head back to the beginning, listen to all of those if you haven't already. Lots of great resources and interviews there as well.
All right, well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.